bit separately than we have done in other years. And I just want to emphasize the fact that the legislature takes very seriously its role in reviewing and deciding on the issuance of a permit. Part of that process, and as evidence of that, tonight's meeting is at the request of the county to come and present with the Woodstock 50 production team and promotion and promoters, as well as representatives of Watkins Glen International here. And the idea is to provide information, answer questions, address concerns, and I also want to emphasize this is not the only meeting. This is the first of a number of meetings that will be held between now and the conclusion of the process. So with that said, again, I welcome everyone. Thank you for attending, and I will turn the microphone over to David Ehrlich, and I will sit down and shut up.
It's rare for a politician to say that. So thank you. My name is David Ehrlich. And apparently we're live. First of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, obviously, for opening up your community to us. And I'm going to walk you through what we're going to do tonight, what we're going to talk about. I may be a little repetitive in doing that, but there's a purpose to that. We want to be sort of very clear and very transparent. We want to hit the main issues that you want to hear about. We're also going to save time for Q&A at the end, so you is involved as the financial partner. We have a significant number of experts you're going to hear from tonight on the festival production and operations side. And I think that's very important. So when someone presents to you, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to tell you about their experience. So you're going to be hearing from people who've worked in this business for decades and have done it. But I want to make clear that this is going to be a lot of information, but again, that's purposeful. We want to explain things, we want to re-explain them, and then we want to give you the opportunity to ask a question. So again, what are we going to talk about tonight? I want to turn this over to Michael in a second, but these are the topics that we're going to hit. So first we're going to talk about what is Woodstock 50. Again, you've been reading about it, but we want you to hear about it from the man who created it, from Michael Lang, and he's going to tell you what the event is. We're going to talk to you about lessons from past events, and in a certain sense, catch you up to where the festival business is today as opposed to where it was previously, which I think will be very important context for you as you think about what we're talking about. We're going to walk you through the site plan and the attendee flow. So again, you need to see a picture of the site plan, you need to get a sense for it, and you need to get a sense for how people are moving within and without, how that is safe, and how people are taken care of. Just so you know, we have boards that if after the presentation is over, you can come up and look at, and you can, it might be a little bit hard to see on the screen because it gets a little bit small issue. We'll walk you through the high-level details of the security plan. We'll walk you through searches and other elements that you would be concerned about, whether you're going to the festival or not. Very importantly, we'll talk to you about the medical services plan. So again, we have a group that's done hundreds of festivals. They'll walk you through their experience and they'll walk you through their plans. So again, you have a good sense for how people are being taken care of at the festival, if there's a problem, how that's handled. Just so you know, again, we're going to have about 10 minutes per topic. The discussion will go about 6 to 7 minutes, and then we'll have a Q&A for each topic. Having said that, at the end, we'll have a general Q&A. And so the presentation part should take about an hour, and then we'll have at least an hour to talk if we missed a question, during your section. So if you have a question, is turn this over to Michael.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and I want to apologize that we haven't been before you before to answer your questions. I know you've had a lot of questions. We actually didn't know about the past meetings where we would have been there. What is Woodstock 50? Woodstock 50 is proof that I'm an old guy. It's a celebration of the values of Woodstock and ones that we think are really pertinent today in terms of the world we're living in. Things like the environment and social issues and activism. We're hoping that everybody who comes has an amazing time, hears some amazing music. It might not be to everybody's taste, but I think the younger people will love it, and I think there's plenty of music for you guys as well. So we hope you'll all join us. It's a 3-day event. People will start arriving on Wednesday and Thursday. The music will take place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. People will leave by Monday afternoon. It's kind of going to be, interesting for people to experience the music, some of the NGOs that we have who are affiliated with us and have partnered with us, like Conservation International and Headcount, who are about getting out the vote, and various other organizations that we hope will get people who are attending engaged in these social issues. We're a planet that hasn't been treated too well, and I think we're on the verge of something that could be disastrous for us all unless we really start to take stock in how we treat the planet and how the carbon counts need to go down. So we're hoping to educate people as well as give them an amazing and really once-in-a-lifetime experience. So I don't know how many of you have seen the lineup, but there it is, small. From day one, just so in case you can't read this, The Killers, Miley Cyrus, Santana, Lumineers, the Raconteurs. On day 2, the headliners are Dead and Company, Chance the Rapper, the Black Keys, Sturgill Simpson, Portugal the Man, Leon Bridges. On day 3, it's Jay-Z, Imagine Dragons, Halsey, Casey the Elephant, and there's a total of about 80 acts. So some of them are new, some of them are older, all of them are great. So if you guys have any questions about the music or kind of what the events are over the weekend, please ask. Nobody?
Are those solid? Are they expected to change? Might there be additions to that as time goes on?
There might be a few additions. The ones that are announced are all solid, and they're definitely coming. If something comes to our attention between now and the dates of the festival, we'll probably try and bring them. Yeah. We try to get Joan. She's retired, and she's amazing, but she just didn't have it in her. Anybody else?
So what did you have the type of music that was inciting things that wrong?
No, we won't.
We didn't hear the
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about it. The question was, will we be having the type of music that was at Rome, New York? That was our 30th anniversary event, and at the end, there were some fires, and then there was a bunch of kids who kind of ran wild, and it got sort of taken up in the newspapers. And it was a kind of an angry time musically in our country. There were bands like Limp Bizkit, Rage Against the Machine, and there were bands that kind of got people excited. And there was an organization called PAX, which means peace, and they had asked me if it would be all right if they distributed candles at the end of the show. And I thought, what a nice idea, what a nice gesture. So I said, sure. And those candles turned into a bonfire, and the bonfire turned into a bigger bonfire. And then the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who were on stage at the time, decided to go into Jimi Hendrix's "Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire," and that just made everything erupt. State police came in and calmed everything down, but it was kind of an odd way to finish the weekend. But to answer your question, these are much kinder acts. Yeah.
Is the same before that you've been playing in, or?
Pretty much, yeah. Kind of in reverse. Yeah, those times will all be listed, and it's kind of in reverse. The acts at the bottom will be on first earlier in the day, and then as you get to the top, you get to the headliners. Yeah.
Will they be staying locally, or?
It's been a big challenge because there's so few hotels in the area, so we're not really sure. Some of them will be staying locally, and some will have to probably drive up to Syracuse and places like that.
What time do they start playing in the morning, and what time do they stop at night?
Good question. So the music starts at 11 in the morning, stops at 12, on Saturday at 1, and on Sunday at 12. The reason it stops at 1 on Saturday is the Grateful Dead are closing the show, and they play for 2.5 hours, as they are given to you.
I've heard that there's multiple stages.
Yes.
Is every band can play at the same time?
There will be, yeah. Stages are far enough apart so they don't bleed, and there will be 3 main stages and then 1 small stage. So we're still working that out. The ticket prices will be announced when the on-sale goes public, which is scheduled for the 22nd of April, Earth Day. You know, we're pretty close to a number, but we're just still refining it.
So there's been talk of a 3-day pass or a single-day pass, and if you have a 3-day pass, then you have to stay on the premise, or are you allowed to go off the premise, or how are you all setting that up?
Well, most of the tickets will be for people camping on site, and those will be 3-day tickets. For people who are not camping on site, we'll also only be selling 3-day tickets, but they can come and go on a daily basis. It'll be a company called Frontgate. And they'll have all the different combinations of climbing and camping and just general admission. Okay.
Michael?
Yeah.
How many tickets do you expect to sell?
So we have 27,000 campsites on the grounds for car campers. And we're averaging around 2.4 people per campsite. So that'll give you a general idea of the number of tickets that we're looking at now. Yeah.
As far as coming in, it's in actually about 8 miles north of here. How are guests like my guests, I sold out in 2 hours when you get the announcement.
Yeah.
How are they going to get from my end in Hector down to the on-site building department?
So we're arranging for parking that's close to the site. And because all of the traffic will be in by Friday, the roads will be pretty empty, so they shouldn't have any problems. So I can guarantee that the parking is
Once you go in,
what did I say?
once you go into the concert, to the area, can you come and go please, or you're in the day, and then once you leave, you're out?
Yes, you're in, and you're in for the day. If you're camping on site, you also can't leave with your car. If you leave with your car, then you don't get back.
Okay, thank you.
Those questions will be sort of answered a little further into the presentation.
Michael, please repeat the question before you answer it, so the whole room can
Sure.
Thanks.
So am I correct that you said that there won't be any one-day passes, everything is going to be a 3-day?
So the question is, there won't be any one-day passes, and that's correct. There won't be. Yeah.
So I have 2 questions. You talked about the carbon footprint, but what are you doing about the people who are going to try to get to this little village? Is there going to be any kind of mass transportation from, say, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, to get them here so they're not all driving cars?
So we're looking at the possibility of doing bus packages from some of those cities, but also we're encouraging people to carpool and to come forward in a car. So that'll cut down a lot on the carbon
And my
footprint.
second question is, do you have a television contract?
How do you mean?
I mean, will this be televised
Oh.
in 6 months or?
Actually, we're looking at live streaming
Oh.
during the event, so that everybody who can't be part of it here will be able to see it and enjoy it.
So as a member of this community, I want this to be a success. Will there be opportunities for us to volunteer?
The question is, will there be opportunities for volunteerism? And absolutely, many.
How could we find that information?
It'll be circulated as soon as we get better organized. We're going to open an office in town where all that information will be available. Yeah.
As a local business owner, are we going to be allowed to vend up there? Will we have the opportunity to vend?
Yeah, you will. I mean, we haven't started collecting vendors' applications yet, but you'll know when that happens.
Will the local business have first option versus services?
They will,
out to the community?
yes. Everything that we do, you know, is really, everything that we do is really focused on, you know, involving the community. All of the money that we spend for you know, building the site, for staffing the site, we always look to do that locally, so that we use local contractors and so that everybody can benefit from the experience.
What about the vending fees for small businesses around here?
We haven't set them yet, but hopefully they'll be reasonable and you guys will be happy with it. So, lessons learned. I'm going to turn this over to David, but I just want to say one of the lessons that we learned was in 1969, you know, we planned for 200,000 people. 600,000 people came. And I know you guys have had a similar experience with the Jam in 1973. For us, they turned back 1.5 million people. They closed the Canadian border, closed the New York State Thruway. And that's because it was the only game in town. We invented big festivals, and they didn't really take off in this country as they did in Europe. And by 1973, when Summer Jam happened, it was still the same situation. It was really the only game in town, and if you wanted to see these guys, you really had to come. In 1994, we did our 25th anniversary, and we did that in Saugerties, New York. We had a permit for 250,000 people. 350,000 people showed up. We let them in. It was a great weekend. We lost a lot of money because of it, but it was still a great weekend. And then in 1999, in Rome, by then there were festivals that were turning up everywhere. So you didn't have to travel across the country to come and see these acts or to take part in a festival. And by 1999, there were no people who came to tickets. And so you know, that's something that took an expansion of the business and the ability for people, you know, anywhere in the country really to be able to access a festival like this without traveling across the country. So I'm going to turn this back over to Dave.
Thank you. So I think you get a sense for the vision letters that we're going to share with the public. We're getting permission from the Sheriff's Office to do so. We have letters from the public saying, first of all, the people that you're using to work on this event, you'll see the name in the letters. Unfortunately, she can't be here tonight because she was sick, but Christy Feener, who's the head of security for this event, you'll see in the letters glowing reviews of her performance as it relates to security for the events. And secondly, in both letters, you'll see the comment that people showing up with tickets was not an issue at all. And again, don't take my word for it. We'll make those letters public. But it's just a little bit of evidence that we didn't want to just leave it out there for you to be concerned about. We wanted to reach out and show you comparable festivals at a comparable time in the festival world and show you what happened. So again, just wanted to address that specific issue and point out how the production world is much different now. So I think what we'll do now, again, you'll have plenty of opportunity to ask Michael a bunch more questions, and you can ask anything you want, but now we're going to get into the topics. As I said before, we're going to talk about the site plan, and we're going to talk about ingress and egress in the site plan, and we're going to go through all the critical topics related to this festival.
Just one more comment. I know that you're all concerned, you know, you're interested in what happens at the festival and on the grounds, but I know you're concerned about how this will affect you on that weekend. And at the end, as David said, we'll have plenty of time to answer all of those questions.
Hello. My name is Mary Beth Elam. I'm the co-producer with David on this event. I've actually been here with the last two fish festivals in town, so I'm very familiar with your community and with the happenings around town, as well as what's the operational facilities at the track. Just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what our site plan is as a whole. We're using a lot of land. We're taking some roads that I understand many of you probably live around and use every day. So I want to make sure that we communicate to you what our plan is around that and what we're doing on the inside of the grounds as well to help. Sorry. I'm trying to avoid the feedback. So like I said, I've been here twice. We are bringing in a lot of the same vendors that we used for the fish festivals on the grounds, from security, a company called CleanBuds is coming in and handling our trash and recycling efforts. We've got the same, some of the same vendors as far as our shower facilities and our plumbing, and a lot of familiar faces when it comes to the people building this event. We can get into specifics if you guys have specific questions around that, but we're bringing in a lot of people who have experience not only at this festival, but many, many festivals around the country as a whole. So just to kind of give you guys an overview of our site plan, we're using a lot of land. If we look to the top, we're using County Route 16, main road through town, everything from Baker Hill Road over to Meads Hill Road. So we're taking Cool Winter Way and Bronson Hill Road, Baker Hill Road. Oh, how about that? Laser pointer. So County Route 16, I'm sure you're all familiar with it. Baker Hill Road, Cool Winter Way, right? Meads Hill over on the east side, yes. Our venue area is specifically focused inside the track in areas that they use for camping, and this area right in here. So the external grounds will be our campgrounds. We will be directing these people into multiple toll booths, which we'll get into in a little while. As far as processing cars, we will have multiple facilities out in the campgrounds that have a shower facility, medical, lost and found, information booths, food, as well as a little bit of programming, probably some yoga sessions and some tea sessions, things of that nature, to give people activities while they're in the campgrounds that's separate from the musical programming as well. Really create the environment and the culture that fans expect from music festivals these days. It's very much a community within a community that we're creating. So just broad strokes here, we're going to have 3 main stages, and again, our footprint is still shaking out as we get it deeper and deeper into the planning of this festival, but we're planning on 3 main stages for music, and then 1 smaller stage that will be more kind of acoustic acts. Then we will likely have a 5th stage that is going to be some variety programming, probably some speaker series, maybe some TED Talk type stuff, comedians, things of that nature, just different types of programming. All of those will be focused inside the main venue, right in here. That will be where the bulk of our concessions and our sponsorship activations and things of that nature will be held as well. We can get further into ingress and egress later on in the security portion, but just wanted to give you guys a general overview of how this festival is going to be laid out. A little bit more of a focus on the main venue. As you can see here, this is Cool Winter Way. So we're going to be operating our main venue on both sides of that road with our main stages and activations within that. That's where our nonprofit village will be, all of those things inside. Any questions around footprint?
Would there be any kind of exhibition area or anything that deals with, say, the history of what you've done or any kind of exhibits whatsoever?
Yes, absolutely. We don't have all of that completely shaken out yet, but there will be some legacy stuff programmed within the event around nonprofits and around, the sustainability efforts and things of that nature that have been common themes throughout each Woodstock. Yes. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious, within that footprint and the back, will there be safe places for people that doing drugs or
Absolutely. So,
like Me Too movement, bystanders, that kind of thing?
absolutely. So the question was, is there going to be kind of safe places within our venue for people who may have had a little too much fun or things of that nature? The answer is absolutely yes. We'll have main medical facilities on the grounds throughout every place that we are activating. So if you need medical support, we'll get into that in a little bit more detail later, but it won't be far away. In addition to that, with some of our nonprofits, we're going to have a sober program location of that. And next, there will be a meeting space for anyone who feels that they want to be surrounded by that community. We're welcoming to everyone as such. Some of our nonprofits as well will be dealing with underlying issues like Me Too and things of that nature that are very hot right now. So, yes, and the AA meetings with the Clemens Open program as well. Oh, absolutely, yeah. We will have an ADA facility as well with a full team on to manage that program. That's everything from viewing platforms at the stages to designated camping area for people with special needs, both mobility issues as well as health issues, things of that nature.
How do people get from the campsites to the festival? Is there buses or shuttles?
It's pedestrian. Yes.
Also walkers?
Yes, everything's within walking distance.
All the vending should take place just within that small.
Primarily, the question is all the vending will be in the central area. That's primarily true. However, we will have out in the campgrounds because our venue area is not open the same hours, the full hours of operation of the event. We will have some food trucks and vending operations out in the campgrounds, in those hubs that I was speaking of with the shower facilities and the medical facilities. So people can get coffee in the morning, you know, some tea in the afternoon, whatever they need, those will be available as well.
How many vendors do you anticipate being that?
We're still working through that. At each hub, there will be at least 2 to 3 vendors that will support each campground location.
Village of Watkins, okay, if they can handle the sewer coming plant.
We are working through that. Yes.
Can't hear the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, is the Village of Watkins?
Down on 17th, the sewer was down, blew the mail car right off the road. Now, I went back to the boat,
Yes, sir. So the question was, is the town of Watkins Glen ready to handle all of the waste that we're going to be producing? And the answer is yes and no. We have a full plan to truck out a lot of our black water waste so that the town plant is not getting overrun with our waste. And we're working with the Department of Health on the proper way to handle all of our refuse. Yes, sir.
I've heard different numbers thrown around to the audience. Have you put a cap on the tickets that will be sold?
We are working through that as well. We're hopeful that, like Michael mentioned, we have 27,000 campsites, and the industry average for music festivals these days is about 2.4 per car. So that's what we're expecting on the way in, but we're going through numerous models as to what our actual cap is.
You very briefly talked about the Me Too movement, which is a question I actually do have. I know in 1999, a serious problem at the festival was sexual assault and rape, and I've heard stuff about some stories from the 94 festival as well. So do you mind elaborating a little bit on what you're going to do to prevent those things from happening this time?
The question was around the Me Too movement and around sexual harassment at music festivals in general these days. That's a very serious concern and one that we take very seriously. We have a security protocol in place. I'll get into this a little bit more in the security section a little bit later, but every one of our festival personnel that has a radio has access to 3 different dispatch channels. There's a security dispatch, a festival dispatch, and a medical dispatch. Every security officer and every staff member that has a radio is trained on proper protocol on how to dispatch to the appropriate people and the response on how to handle that. So they wait for the response to actually happen to make sure that we are getting help to the people who need it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does answer a little bit. I'm glad that there is some sort of plan this time.
Absolutely.
Is the nonprofit area open to local nonprofits, or is it just external, bigger nonprofits?
We're certainly opening up the application process to anyone and everyone. Yes?
We'll be arriving on Wednesday.
the question was, is there going to be an opportunity for people as they're arriving on Wednesday to come to the festival and then go out and explore the beautiful places that you guys have around the community? And the answer is no. Once you're in our festival site, there's no free entry. We do that for security and for traffic purposes. So if you leave, you can't come back with your vehicle.
How does that work
For vendors, that's a different protocol. Food vendors especially will need to restock, and we fully understand that you can't bring everything in at once. They're going to need throughout the weekend. So we will have a protocol in place for restocking hours. Yes, ma'am.
So what about all these people that have reservations for campgrounds and hotels within a 50-mile radius? You're saying once they get in the track, they can't leave?
So those people we will send to our day parking lots, and that's a different protocol. If you're camping on site, you will not be able to leave. If you are living at a campsite or a hotel or somewhere in the area, you will come to the site, park in our day parking lot, go through a security search on the way in, and you'll be able to come and go on a daily basis. Yes, sir.
To clarify, when you say you're not going to be able to leave, you just mean you won't be able to take your car that you're camping next to, but your wristband will be able to leave and go grocery shopping if you needed to, via taxi or whatever, and then come back, right? So once you're inside the festival site with a wristband as a camper, you can't leave and come back in with a wristband?
Unless you're in the day parking lot, that's correct. Or medical emergencies, things of that nature, we will certainly take.
Second that. Yes, you will be able to leave and go into town, buy whatever you want to buy, or an Uber or some way to transport yourself. You just cannot take a car or something. It creates a danger for people who can't be next to you.
Awesome.
So, to clarify your further, there for a day, you live in town. And you want to see a particular band, it starts at 11 o'clock, then you want to come back at 11 o'clock to see the band at 11 o'clock, you can do that.
Yes.
By cab.
Yes, sir.
You'll have shuttle buses that come in from these different places, right?
We're exploring that option from different locations, major cities around. Yes, ma'am. Yes, absolutely. We can get you in touch with the right people. We've got a full team that's coming on to manage that program specifically. I'm sorry. The question was around nonprofits. I'm sorry?
We'll repeat it.
Was you up to the track for the last meeting? Was you up to the track for the last meeting, last week? No. You weren't. I offered to buy a microphone. I offered to pay a guy to go around and hand the microphone to people so everybody could hear.
We'll repeat the
I'm
question.
sorry. The question was around the nonprofit organizations and how people could get involved in that. I can take your information and make sure that you're in touch with the right people on our side that are coordinating that program as a whole.
Okay, so now we're going to segue into transportation and traffic management, which obviously there were a lot of questions about. And I will repeat, so say your question, I'll repeat it out as loud as I can so everybody can hear it, and then it'll be answered at the end.
Thanks, David. My name is Greg Del Rio. I'm a professional engineer, traffic engineer by trade for over 30 years experience in the music festival, arena, stadium niche of our market. I started my career in 1994 Lollapalooza at Randall's Island, and I've been involved with these type of events and just mass gatherings ever since, on and off throughout my career. So that's a little bit of intro to my background. So we've established the transportation working group. So we have a lot of stakeholders and interests to ensure that this event is successful. And they include state DOT. Can we go back, please? State DOT, New York State Troopers, the County Sheriff's Department, that's not just Schuyler, that's also Chemung and Steuben County Sheriff's offices are all involved, the Emergency Management Group, parking managers, and right down to local toll operators. They haven't been involved yet, we're engaging in toll operators now. And then we go into our traffic plan. We have what's called a traffic management plan, a TMP. And this will be the document, sort of the go-to book that has the instructions for everybody on everything from pre-event, setting up all the cones, the signs, the information coordinated, all the way through to after the event and the egress and picking everything up and cleaning up and putting it back to its natural state. So, next slide please. So the components of the traffic management plan, these are just sort of the major components of it. There's a lot that goes into it, including coordination protocols, and communication, who makes the calls. But the focus right now is the flow maps that show, where people are coming from and how we're routing them into the site and the event. There's a lot of sort of engineering behind that, right? So we're doing these estimates based on past experience, based on common sense. And then when we get the ticket sales, we'll actually refine them. So right now we distribute them by best guess and transportation sort of processes that we've done for planning purposes. And then when we get the real data, we refine all of our assumptions. And that leads to the queuing until about 6 in the morning. The gates, a few of the gates, the plazas will be about 50%, 75% to match the incoming. There's always going to be traffic trickling in during the night, so we'll be accepting the vehicles and 24/7 for those first 3 days. And then we go down to about 10% or something like that for anyone who may be trickling in and did not make it by Friday. This shows the distribution of where they're coming from. And then the next slide. Okay, so from the south, we're picking them up at exit 42, exit 46, and exit 52A. They're going to be directed to those 3 routes, and those 3 routes will take you into 3 different plazas to get into the parking spaces and the campsites within the Glen. These are hourly numbers shown that will then be routed through these routes. Next, from the north. It's a little bit lighter from the north. If you just look at the pie, there's not a lot of heavy density centers. From the north, most of them are the other 3/4 of the pie, from the west, from the south, and certainly from the east. So these are the routes. The other thing important to note is we've worked hard with all those stakeholders right now to do as much as we can to, one, minimize the flow through Watkins Glen and Montour Falls specifically, so you can see how these routes pick you up and bring you back along some of the county and state routes without going through downtown Watkins Glen. But I forgot to mention, there's another slide that didn't make it into this presentation, is the regional signage. So we're picking up people as far away as Buffalo and Batavia, Albany and Syracuse, sending them down to 86 so that the majority is coming back up from 86. Again, so we're minimizing the flow, but we're realistic. There will be some flow coming from the north and coming from the east. We know some are going to come down, some are going to come over from Ithaca. But again, we're doing everything we can to communicate that those are not their preferred routes. So it's best for them and it's best for you. And I think that might be the end. So it's a work in progress. You can see how we're drilling down in those 3 slides, and we're drilling down right into the site and making sure all the calculations work to minimize the impacts to the public and the local focus. And with that, I think we'll open up the Q&A.
So are you working with, you mentioned Waze, but Google as well, because a lot of people are using Google Maps and the Apple Maps now to get direction, because Google sends me off on all sorts of really strange shortcuts.
So yes, the reason I mentioned Waze is because the Glen already has a relationship with them, and we know that exists and we can use it. We will be reaching out to Google, and we'll let you know next time what the feedback was. I'm pretty confident we'll get cooperation.
Will the venue organizer have a mobile app that they'll construct for this particular event? And is there any way to also granular information from that to see how many people are coming in or where they're coming from?
Exactly. So the question was, will there be a mobile app that will assist with the access, and will that mobile app be sort of two-way so that we're getting information? And the answer is yes. The web app is hopefully going to be designed, and hopefully people will use it, so we're getting information that we're coming in along this route or that route, and then we can adjust accordingly beforehand and be proactive with the traffic management plan. Traffic management plan is very flexible, so that, you know, if things are a little different than we anticipated and we need to send cars to the next gate, we can do that. So we're working very hard to make the plan as flexible as possible and be able to react to the information. Great question. Is the day parking free? Yes, the day parking is free, but you will be paying for the scan. You will be taking, so just real quick on the day parking, there's an off-site property that we're negotiating with that will, you know, it's a very large property and it's not too far away. It's about a 10-minute ride on the shuttle bus. So that will pick up all those other sort of in and outs that a lot of those prior questions were asking. So if you're local, you'll drive to this off-site lot, get on the bus, go see your show, and then take the bus back. Those buses will be running continuously during the weekend.
One of the interesting things about this festival is there are a lot of conversations going on at once, and we are still working on some of the models. And so I want to just clarify, because again, we want to be transparent, we're going to be held accountable, but currently under the model, day parking is free. That could change based on some of the model changes. But we'll disclose that.
What are you going to do when 600,000 people show up?
So the question was, what are we going to do when 600,000 people show up? And
yeah, I'll turn this over to Michael. Again, there are several phases that we're gonna do to prevent that. But let me turn that over to Michael first, and then I'll supplement anything he says.
So I thought I answered this before. It's a very different world from when we did Woodstock in 1969. We were the only game in town. If you wanted to be at a festival, you had to come to Woodstock, and people came from all over the world and all over the country. Now there are festivals in every city in America, just about, so you no longer have to travel great distances, especially if you don't have a ticket. So we've discovered through our various anniversaries, the 25th, we had people who came without tickets. At the time, 30th came around in 1999, nobody came without a ticket. So it's just not how the world works anymore. What? Well, I mean, I can't guarantee that it's, you know, not going to snow this summer either. What are you going to do for us? If we do. I don't know how to answer that other than to say it's just not realistic.
It wasn't realistic then either.
Yeah, it was. Back to action.
Several people have asked about ticket sales.
Yeah.
You keep saying your estimate is 2.4 people per car,
right.
27,000 campsites. How many tickets are you going to sell? Because if you take that to 3 people in a car,
yes.
16,000 extra people come.
Yeah, that's why we haven't really got a cap number yet.
What's your limit?
Excuse me?
What's your limit?
Limit is 4 per.
Now, what's your limit for ticket sales?
As I said, we haven't really capped it yet because we're still waiting for kind of the indication of how many people are going to come
Last week,
for each.
Up at the racetrack, they said it was capped at 700.
I'm just going to jump in for 1 second. I'm happy to repeat the questions, but if you could let your neighbor's question be answered completely, and then ask the next question, it would actually make it easier for me to continue to repeat the question.
Sure. So, what was your question?
Mine?
Yeah.
Where are you going to cap this?
So, we're capping it at 17,000 campsites. The maximum per campsite, 27,000, sorry, and the maximum per campsite is 4 people. The average is 2.4. We don't really know how many people are going to come with their kids, so that would be a 4, or just with their partner, which would be a 2.
4,200 is a 2.4, and then you jump to 81,000 just from that, from 3. Just for 3 people.
Yeah.
Then what about your day people?
The day people, we're figuring probably around 10,000 people will come
4 people would be
without
about
camping,
10,000.
and that would be capped. Yeah. There'll be a website. The question was, will there be some way that people can ask questions on a daily basis and get answers? And we'll be establishing a website where you can send your questions, you get responses pretty much immediately. Yeah?
You could go back to the maps of the egress and ingress plans through Montour Falls, taking it down Main Street, up Steuben Street, across 14, down County 16.
That's correct. The question was the routing through Montour Falls. Go one more. This is, go back one more. Right there. He's talking about the route from 224 coming across through Montour Falls, and the route you described was exactly right. Right down Main Street, up Steuben to 16.
My reasoning for approaching that question, you do realize there's a hospital on that street there.
That's correct, and we are working, through that transportation working group who, I described who was involved, including emergency management, and there is a route to get the emergency response ambulances to and from the site and the event. That does not involve getting in the queue of traffic from the show.
Will traffic be one lane or both lanes up and down that road?
So the question follow-up is, will there be one lane or will there be multiple lanes? The difference between the race days and our event is the cars are not screened on race day, so they're just waved in and speed parked. The difference for us is, so they do stack them as you get on 16, two lanes, they cone it off, and then they bring you in. And that's to facilitate a faster arrival. Our traffic needs to stop at the security plazas and take 2 to 3 minutes to get searched for security. That's the standard across the festival world these days. So you're standing in a queue. As you get close to the event, you will be in a queue of cars waiting to go through those toll plazas. So there's not a lot of value to doing a 2-lane sort of setup. So it will be 1 lane, and all those blue lines you see are 1 lane in. So the opposite direction is always just a free lane of traffic on the contraflow movement. Yes, the question was, will there be maps that show the exact streets a little more in detail than you're seeing here? And the answer is yes. That will be on the apps, that will be on the website, that will be in your ticket package that you get. That will be Waze, that will be hopefully Google, that shows you all those routes specifically. So in the next iteration, when we see you again, we'll probably show you the drill down, all the way down to what I was talking about, those critical locations. So wherever we're crossing a signal, there will be a straight trooper or a sheriff there to control traffic.
Were you here when, or did you work on the engineered plan for the fish boat 2 years ago?
No, that was an associate of mine in a different company, but we have been sharing stories.
So, I'll share a story. For approximately 8 hours, with your 1 lane of traffic going through your 2 little security that should have been 10 were closed because people never showed up for work. For 6 hours, people sat, ate, went to the bathroom, knocked on my door for food, gas, and water. What are you going to do? What is your contingency plan? Because I don't mind. I live next to the track. I've lived there my whole life. I don't mind if the event comes in. What are you going to They want to go to the festival. How and what is your contingency plan for moving this traffic faster than they did for Fish?
So the question was the experience of the Fish concert 4 years ago, 2 years ago, and you hit the nail on the head. Certain people did not show up to work for the plazas that day. So while the plan was to have a certain number processing, just one plaza not processing is very sensitive to what happens with the queues that you experience. I was not involved with that. I know I've heard these stories, and they are, assuring us that all the plazas will be staffed appropriately, 100% staffed during the day, and 50 to 75% overnight, depending on the demands that we see.
And my question is, what's the contingency? Because you can promise that the gates are going to be open, but what's the plan if someone doesn't show up?
So
Doesn't show up.
the question is the contingency plan in case somebody doesn't show up. And I think we will work through that. We hear you. We'll work through that and have an answer for you next time. We haven't specifically addressed that yet, but I don't want to disregard it because obviously it's a challenge and should be addressed. So we will include it.
I'd like to address the topic of numbers because it's obviously, you've seen it becomes a hot button issue with many people. If you took your maximum number of 27,000 campsites at the maximum occupancy of 4 people, that's 116,000 people. Watkins Glen International does not publish their attendance records, but the generally accepted number for attendance for the NASCAR races these days is about 100,000. We're not talking about an event which is even, wildly different from what goes on here every year. So I think, people should be encouraged by the level of organization that's going into this. This is fantastic.
I think, thank you, by the way. I wasn't sure that's where you were going. But thank you. These guys are, the real deal, and they are working for everybody's best interest. No one wants to have an unsuccessful event.
Yeah, my concern is, you guys are so nice, you're making a lot of money on the tickets. But are you concerned about what the taxpayers cost for the extra coverages for the deputies, sheriffs, et cetera? Do you think contributing funds to
So, I think I got this right, but the basic question was, there's some profit being made from this event. What is the give back, not only to the community, but also to maintain some of the impacts, right? So anytime there's a big event like this, there are obvious impacts. There are impacts to, in my world, there are impacts to roads. And so we have a whole engineering team that has been for months now driving the roads, including me, but I'm really looking for capacity and flow. The other engineers are looking for spalling, cracking. We're part of our transportation group is DPW, and they are very strict on the loading limits of the certain roads, for example. So, when we were talking about shuttle buses, we cannot put shuttle buses on routes that have gross vehicle weights, etc. I might be off topic. Okay, sorry.
No, we don't, the roads are maintained by us. My concern is there's overtime for the different sheriff's departments, especially Schuyler County. We're a small county of about 18,000 people. Is it on our backs when you have all this overtime for the track or your
Yeah, this is a question. The question is, sort of the sheriff's department, some of these other transportation working group stakeholders are putting a lot of energy into this. How is that being compensated?
We're paying it, basically. That's the answer to that question. We're paying too. And also, I'd just like to say that, because of the amount of money these things cost and the amount of supplies and contractors and everything else that goes into them, millions and millions of dollars in taxes and tax revenue goes into the community, goes into the county.
Craig, let me answer. As the president of Watkins Glen International, the county, town, village gives us this much money every year. We pay for all the shares. Tim O'Hearn's in the room. We pay for everybody's overtime. We pay for everything for the whole weekend. So there's no gift that WGI assists today. As Michael Lang stated, they're paying for everything just as we always say.
Yes.
I have a question because I live on Meads Hill Road, and if I should have to go out to the store or something on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, how hard is it going to be for me to get back to my home from the Glen, fighting the traffic that's going into the traffic, being the local person?
So, local resident who lives on Meads Hill Road, which is, part of the properties and the ingress and egress routes that are being planned for, how does a person who lives within those routes and being impacted get around? So, part of the transportation management plan will be the circulation routes for not only the very, very local neighbors, but everybody else that needs to get to work on Wednesday, Thursday. Those are days that are of concern. Friday, Saturday, as you guys all know from races, it's pretty quiet because everybody's in and it's not so much traffic anymore. But we're working through those plans. In addition, I know the Glen has had some neighborhood meetings. I don't know if you've attended them. We're coordinating them. We haven't been part of them yet. We're feeding them information to feed back to you. Sort of, that's what we're working through right now. But almost everywhere you go, there's the other way to flow so that you're not stuck in traffic. And we're looking at all of those to minimize the sort of detour diversion that you need to do for any route.
Someone staying in my B&B was wondering if you'd be able to ride his bicycle to the track. Are you going to allow people on bicycles, or do they have to come in a car?
I'm going to defer. We haven't brought that up. It is a topic that we are addressing, but we haven't gotten there yet. As far as mass transit, the buses from the airports, the buses from the regional cities, bicycle traffic, etc.
Bicycles will be welcome.
That did not surprise me. We're doing a green planet here, so hopefully.
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify a little bit on that. We will allow bicycles up to the front gate. There will not be bicycle traffic allowed inside the grounds once you're in your pedestrian.
To the venue.
That is a little bit of a touchy subject. Certainly not on 16. I'm sorry, the question was, will people be allowed to walk to the event? We're working with law enforcement with that. There's obviously a concern with having people walking on the side of traffic, people parking where they're not supposed to be parking and walking in. So the walking it's a touchy one, but we're working through it. Any more? Oh, sorry. Okay, so just reiterate, what was the question? So he was just saying, will you be able to walk just like will you be able to bike to the event? So if you're in a nearby bed and breakfast or one of those providers, will their patrons be able to walk to the event? And that's the question. We're working through that. We prefer, I think, right now that we drive to that off-site lot and take the shuttle bus to it. No, I think if you're within the sort of zone of parking and everything, it's probably a little different. We're talking about 16, 14, 414, Resident? Have we made any contact with the busing?
We haven't made any contact with the busing yet because we're not sure about what the extent of the shuttle service will be. As soon as we determine that, and we need vendors, then we'll get in touch with the local vendors. And you have a question? question was, you know, you guys were told that we were going to be giving out placards for the windows of local people so that they can get through traffic without being hassled, and that's true.
I think we're going to do one more question on this. If we don't get your question on traffic, we'll have Q&A at the end, but I want to make sure you hear in detail about both security and medical. Both are very important, but the last question on this.
Will there be a area for privatized shuttle, vehicles, the shuttle of local people? Will there be a drop-off area for those type of vehicles?
So the question is, will there be a location to accommodate the private shuttles, the people who will be driving in from, the region, from the airports, from the other nearby cities? The answer is yes, but we're working through those specifically, and there's a couple of different options we're looking to optimize that experience.
Thank you. So just a time check for everybody. We're a little more than an hour in. We have till 8, but again, we can go a little bit longer, obviously, to answer questions. But we do want to make sure we have time to delve into both security as well as medical, which are very important issues. So now we're going to move on to the security plan and review that at a high level with Mary Beth.
You get me again. Unfortunately, our security director, Christy Feener, is out sick, so she was not able to make this visit, but I can discuss our plan in a high-level fashion and take some questions. So we're looking at overall festival security, private security, not including the local authorities supporting the event, somewhere in the 900 to 1,100 personnel range. All of these people will come in on buses, on major and en masse, and they will stay on site throughout the event. So they'll shower, they'll sleep, they'll eat on site. So you don't need to worry about all of these people coming in, coming and going as they please. They'll be housed on site. We're looking at currently about 6 different companies for that, in addition to Christy Feener's company that will oversee their deployment. All of these different companies will staff a different area and be responsible for certain things underneath their purview that they will be focused on. FMS will monitor their deployment, make sure that people are in the right places, make sure that bodies are getting to their staffed positions in a timely fashion, things of that nature. In addition to that, we're working with a local security company that will be patrolling the neighborhoods, making sure that people aren't trespassing onto your property and setting up camp on your farms and things of that nature outside of our event. On the inside, we will also be monitoring with 24/7 coverage of camera operations, so that we've got eye in the sky that we can monitor from a central location and catch things that people on the ground in the fields may not actually see. As people are entering our site, every vehicle that comes to site will be screened at the toll plazas that Greg was speaking of. On that search, they will be searched for everything that's on our prohibited items list, which will go out to all patrons in advance. These are things like weapons, illegal substances, grills with open flames, glass bottles, fireworks, amplified sound, things like that. This will all be messaged out to our patrons in advance. If they show up with those items are confiscated at the gates, and they are not subject to return. As secondary, screening will happen as people are entering the venue. Inside the venue itself, inside the performance area where we've got the stages and the nonprofit village and things like that, we'll be instituting a clear bag policy, which has size restrictions so we can clearly identify and screen bags as people are going in. All of our patrons will also be subject to metal detection as they enter and exit the venue. And again, there's a prohibited items list. There's no alcohol in and out of the venue. And all of that will be messaged out to the patrons in advance. We're working with the local authorities to have amnesty boxes and things of that nature so that should people try to get to those gates, they have a place to dispose of things properly prior to going in. As I touched on a little while ago, we have a festival dispatch plan that will be monitored by both our festival dispatch team as well as representatives from the state and local authorities. As I mentioned, every festival personnel that has radio will be trained on how to properly dispatch different incidents, whether it's a medical incident or a security incident or just, you know, this ATM ate my card, what do I do? Different types of dispatch protocols for each one of those instances, and every personnel will be briefed on that protocol. Kind of hits my list. Anybody have questions? Yes, sir.
Give you a little outlandish, but is there any thought into homeland security being involved in terms of terrorism, possible terrorism?
Yes. The question was, is there any thought behind having homeland security and anti-terrorism involved? And the answer is absolutely. We're working with the proper authorities at the highest level to make sure that this event is as safe as it can possibly be. Yes, ma'am.
That's me too. So the security that you hire, I'm hoping they will be trained in sensitivity to a possible victim, you know, of not saying that that's going to happen, but it's a lot of people, you know.
The question was, will the security personnel be properly trained in how to deal with different incidents? The answer is yes. Every one of our security guards will be a card-holding certified security personnel in the state of New York, which they're training just to get that card, trains them on different incidents of many different natures. So to come onto our site and be a security guard, that training will already happen. Yes. Yes.
How much fun are you going to have for property damages like that?
How much? I'm sorry?
How much will the experience of wherever somebody comes in and burns down a house and burns down, destroys the whole field of property?
The question was around insurance and what the festival is carrying. We have multiple different types of event insurance that would cover those things. Standard.
What is the bottom line? Write something heavy during summer.
I don't have that exact number. It's 50 million. There you go. Question was around insurance limits. The answer is we carry up to $50 million of insurance coverage. Yes, exactly.
That property damage information that you're giving, is that for people who are living near the grounds, within the grounds? Because that's my concern, just to have that cleared up.
The question was, does that insurance coverage cover people who are living near the property, from a lady who lives on Baker Hill Road? The answer is, if your property is damaged by the festival, then yes, we will cover it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So the 1,100 security that you mentioned, that is separate from law enforcement numbers?
The question was, is the 1,100 security guards that I mentioned separate from law enforcement? And yes, the state police will have a major presence in and around our site, both on the interior and exterior. We're working with them on those numbers in that plan. Yes, sir.
In the event of a major lightning storm coming through, standard protocol, just everyone go back to your tent and hunker down?
The question is around, in the event of a major lightning storm, major weather event, what is the protocol? We send people back to their cars, which are rubber tires grounded. If we did have people that are in a tent only and they don't have a car to go back to, we message out to our fan community that if you see somebody, invite them into your car, make a friend, and then we also have some shelter-in-place protocols.
So the main concert area closes down temporarily?
That's correct. Yes.
So the event that, because I'm local as well, if the event you find that there are trespassers and there's anyone there, is there numbers that are going to be allowed for us as local residents to know the proper number to call 911 still, or do we need to call the traffic security? What's going to be the protocol?
The question is whether or not there is, who to contact if you have an issue on your property. As a neighbor of this event, if you have an incident regarding trespassers or things of that nature, who you call, call 911. We will have 911 dispatch both at the track and for the community. We will also have a neighbor hotline that will get that number out to all of you, where you can call the event directly and someone will pick up the phone and address your concern. Anyone else? Great. I'm going to turn it over to medical now. Sorry. Sorry about that. Yes, ma'am.
When we were talking about, supposedly they got these big tanks that they keep their waste in. And we're gonna have so many people at the Glen, at the racetrack, right?
I think our concern is the fish concert that did happen, after the fish concert happened, or in the season, they pulled the plug more or less, but pulled the manhole covers off, and we had waste thrown down the road in the stream. And you know, what's going on with the rest of that, but this is going to be very.
We're working with the village of Watkins Glen. The majority of our race, I'm sorry, the question was around waste refuse and what happened with the fish event a few years ago was that the local plant got overrun, some of the manhole covers were blown off, and we ended up with human waste in some of the neighbors' yards. This was 2 fish festivals ago, with the fish festival in 2015. I believe that issue was addressed very heavily, and our plan is the same. We will be trucking the majority of our black water waste, our human waste, off-site to different facilities so that the local plant does not get overrun. And we've also addressed that issue with the plant as far as flow rates and things of that nature coming down from the track.
Very bad.
Yes.
WGI is also installing a 100 million gallon holding tank. We already have, what, 190? What's our tank? We already have one tank of 130. We're adding another 500 million gallon holding tank, and we're working with the village on that as well. So that'll be brand new for NASCAR and fish, or NASCAR racing.
Great. Okay.
Do you have a question?
I'm sorry.
Do you have a plan if, for instance, like Woodstock, compared to fish was canceled altogether with not a rescheduling date or time? On any of these days, if you get an electrical storm that is shut down for 4 or 5 hours, do you plan on rescheduling that? Is there a plan in place? Would it continue on past Sunday in any way, shape, or form? Or if it was completely canceled, to reschedule it at a different date?
The way the music business works these days, it's impossible to reschedule because acts are booked for the rest of the next years. If we're shut down for 4 or 5 hours and we can restart, we'll restart. If it looks like there's not going to be any let up and this is going to go on for, say, 2 days or something like that, we'll probably call it, return the fees to the people who came.
Hi, good evening. My name is Alex Pollock. I'm the president of Paradox Worldwide. We provide on-site medical services for events and venues throughout the country. I'm going to go through a little bit of our industry experience about the company, some of the on-site elements that we're going to have on site. We want to make this an enjoyable event for everyone, and we want to make sure everyone gets home safe. So we'll go through that a bit, and then I'll take any questions or answers. We were founded in 2011. We currently work in 30 states. We covered over 3,000 events in 2018. Last year we covered 20 festivals, 20 music festivals throughout the country. We pretty much have a 100% client retention rate. We do have, I'll just talk through the next few slides in one, and then I'll field any questions. We do look at this as a small city. So we plan on having 2 main medical facilities on site. One will be open 24 hours, and one will be open just for the festival itself. So it'll be open an hour before the festival starts, and it'll close down once the tents are cleared. These main medical tents will be staffed with emergency room physicians, older support staff, ancillary staff, so we'll have nurses, EMTs, paramedics. There will also be some ancillary tents that would be located in the camping areas, some of the other areas of the festival. These will be kind of like urgent care centers. Anyone who goes into an urgent care center and needs more advanced treatment will go to one of our main medical tents where the doctor level care will be there. We have small gators and golf carts that are on this site. And we'll transport anyone just like a small city. Call 911, they'll be going to one of these small tents. Anyone who calls out inside the field area, one of these small little ambulances will go to one of these main medical tents. In the case that it's something that we can't treat on site, we'll have ambulances for on-site transport to the local facilities, to local hospitals. We'll have, these are some of the small gators, consider them small ambulances to service the town, our town, the Woodstock town. We'll have field teams, we'll have plenty of staff. We're working diligently with the New York State Department of Health on the numbers of personnel we're going to have on site. We'll have two main emergency rooms on site that will have doctor capabilities. The rest of them will be a little bit scaled down, more like an urgent care center. Okay. Any questions? I know everyone's ran through that pretty fast, but I'm not sure everyone's tired. Damn. Yeah. Sorry, sir.
So in the event that you actually have something, I won't say catastrophic, but something more than what you're able to handle on site, and Schuyler has a very small ER, and it's not overly staffed. Is the plan, is Schuyler your primary transport too, or is it going to Corning? Or?
So that's actually a good question. Yes. Is Schuyler going to be, since it has this very small emergency department, will that be our primary transport destination? We're going to stick to local protocols. We really do have very advanced capabilities on site. Our medical director for this event is actually local. So we are able to do pretty much everything an emergency department is able to do, and much larger. So we really think we can handle most emergencies on site, and we try to keep as much on site as possible to treat it so not to overburden Schuyler Hospital or any of the local emergency departments with access patients. Also, it allows people to get treated on site and go back to the festival if they're able to. So the question is Schuyler going to be our main one? It's local protocols. If it's, God forbid, an emergency and it's cardiac respiratory arrest, they have to go to the closest emergency department. If it's something that requires further treatment, like a level 1 trauma center, I'll go to the appropriate facility. That will be something discussed with in the command center, and the doctor, the medical director, will make that call. It's Dr. Page, I'm sure a lot of you know. He's the medical director for the track.
Questions?
Yes, sir.
For the local residents near the track, we were discussing having the ability to dispatch your EMS services while you have that influx of traffic flow to the local residents. Is that also part of your plan?
So the question was, are we going to be able to dispatch any of our, actually, let me make sure I got this correctly. Are we going to be able to dispatch any of our event-dedicated resources to outside of the festival?
That's correct.
There has been some talks with Homeland Security, I believe, and the local fire department about that. It's still primary talks, so we're not
with the local fire department.
I'm sorry?
The state.
I'm sorry, the state. I apologize. About having extra resources dedicated just for that. Our goal is to be totally self-sufficient and meet inside, take care of everything inside the venue, and keep our resources there. That's what they're dedicated for. For anything outside, obviously, if it's something big and we need to be involved, that will be a decision that's being made in the command center, but there is some talks with the state about having additional resources since there will be so many people in the town itself and not in the festival proper.
So just to put this into perspective, what's your average number of individuals that have to be taken care of by your operations, and how do say numbers of people or percentage of the total population of venue ongoers? What are you dealing with on a typical basis?
So you're asking, the question was, what percentage of the audience do we typically see? Is that correct? I go through our town. We have very good, we created our own proprietary software where we track everything from something like a Band-Aid to seizures. A lot of it's dependent, remember, it's in August, it's hot, it's weather dependent. People are outside drinking, people are camping out, things do happen. It's very hard to pinpoint an exact number. It's very, very minor. I can tell you just from our previous history, we did 20 festivals last summer, some of them not as big as this. It's not even like a 0.1% that we transport off-site that we aren't capable to treat on-site. We do see a lot of people come, they have blisters, they're camping out. We see a lot of minor stuff. Major stuff is treated in-house, anything else that we can handle, but it's really minor.
Did you say who the local medical director is?
Yes, yes, Tim Page.
Tim Page.
Yeah.
Does anybody say, do we have a state permit?
It's a party team. So the question is, do we have a state permit? So any mass gathering event, we have to file for a party team. That is an ongoing process. We are working with the Department of Health very diligently. We've applied for over, I think, 200 of them. I don't want to throw a number, this past year alone. So we know the New York State ones, we're a New York-based company, even though we work for the country. We've applied for a lot of them. We've never had really big issues, but it's in process.
Great. We still have some time left. Again, I want to say, before you start the rest of your questions, thank you. Thank you for your time. And obviously there's a whole range of questions. Hopefully we answered them. Again, this is the middle of the process. This is not the end of the process by any stretch. To that end, to the extent that you don't feel comfortable asking a question, if you feel something wasn't answered, please feel free to email us, neighbors@woodstock50.com. If you start looking at the website, you're going to see numerous at Woodstock, but again, we have a dedicated question and answer email section for neighbors only. So this is where you go for follow-up. We still have some time, so again, I want to turn it over to Michael, but we're open to answering some more questions, and then when we conclude, we'll stay up here for a few minutes, and if you want to come up afterwards and ask questions. But again, thank you. We threw a lot of information at you. That was kind of the point. Hopefully it was pretty deep, with a little more time to talk. But again, if you have more questions, feel free.
So I hope that cleared up a lot of your questions. If you have anything else you'd like to ask, please.
Yeah, are you conducting any tabletop exercises, simulations, game playing, or worst-case scenarios?
The question was, are we conducting any kind of game plan or to deal with worst case scenarios? And there's always that kind of thought that goes into these events. From experience, that we've accumulated over the last 50 years, really. Yes, we have a company called Teneo who is advising us on security. They're one of the largest security agencies in the country, and are very familiar with large outdoor events. And in addition to Teneo, we have Christy, who is really expert, and has a tremendous amount of experience dealing with festival security. So we're confident we have a great team.
So in terms of accountability, so this is the big issue. So who's accountable in the end if something does go wrong? What does the community have to go to as a source for a grievance or any type of issue that they say, well, someone has to be accountable for this, and who is that person?
That would be us.
And how would they actually address that, and what would be the review process afterwards? Something like that.
What kind of incident are you thinking? So the question was, who's accountable for what happens?
Well, what's the review process? Would you have set up a kind of after the concert of their are grievances, who is the community going to?
So the question is, who is the community going to after the event to
Community or the community, whatever it may be, what is the interview process? Who do they go to if they have an issue?
So we'll have an after-event analysis, and you guys are more than welcome to come to those.
Well, there has to be more than that. So
How do you mean?
if there's an issue that someone has while the event is taking place, or even after the event, something is happening, who would they actually go to? Would they go to our county administrator? Would they go to Michael, or who would they go to?
Well, they can go to us, to our central command on site, or they can go to the county if it's urgent. I guess, it's something to do with us. I guess you'd want to contact us.
Yeah.
And so those numbers will be available to you. Anybody else? Yeah?
I've lived in Watkins for 8 years, just a couple blocks away, and I'm sure it's different for other people, but in those 8 years, no matter how large an event has been at the track, you rarely have a problem downtown. The biggest problem ever is that traffic, and particularly when the event is over. You can walk out on the corners at 9 o'clock at night, and it's really not crowded, even during the event. Most of these stay at the track, and it's, I suppose, ice and beer is very seldom downtown. But other than that, we love them.
Thank you.
I represent a local winery, and who do we go to about potentially becoming a venue for local wine, especially specifically wine that's not served in glass bottles, but canned wine, so that works really well for your no glass bottles. Who do we go to about becoming that?
So you can either use our question website. You can go to Americrown, who is responsible for the catering for the beverages on site. That might be the most direct, and that it would be addressed to people at the track.
We also have a vendors at Woodstock 50 email address that those email.
Yeah, it's not live yet.
Americrown, but Americrown, the same vendor that handles all concessions for the track always, will be on our current lead on that.
Anybody else? Mike?
Michael, did you say you were providing like a glamping service or providing facilities like that?
Yeah, the question was, are we providing glamping service? And the answer is yes. Mostly because, there isn't a lot of hotel infrastructure in the area, and we feel that there may be several or many older people who want to become a part of the festival and not want to camp out by their car. So those will be available.
Are you expecting a large international audience?
Yes. We've had inquiries from just about every country around the world.
You mentioned that this would be the middle of the process, and there'd be more meetings to come. What is the process for moving forward? When's the next community meeting? Do you have an idea yet?
I think it's in a month. I don't know. Do we have a date for it?
I believe it will be, we're trying to schedule them around the time when the entire team is here for efficiency and to have the people that can answer the questions. So I would, at this point, it looks like the end of April or May would be the next meeting, and then at least monthly after that, up until the event.
And will you have that final head count that those have been talking about by then?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure. Those are completely false.
Yeah, there's a company called Ticket Network.
Yeah, those are resellers. And there's a few of those websites that are up.
To me, for 950.
Yeah, and they don't have anything to sell.
And the tickets will be mailed out on the 13th of August.
Right. I advise ignoring those sites.
Yeah, and they keep coming back to me. 30% off that.
Yeah. It's awful.
They're not going to be $10, are they?
What about, you mentioned parents coming here to show, what about
So we haven't picked the age yet, but there'll be an age under which you will not have to provide a ticket, and there'll be an age above which you will. Anybody else?
Hi, Michael. I got a couple questions for you regarding the local fire service.
Yeah.
Back on March 19th, there was a meeting held at WGI in which some things were discussed, and it was an invitation only for the local residents. And it was mentioned that there'd be 5 to 10 fire departments available there. As a matter of fact, the comment was made exactly that there'd be more fire equipment on site for this event than there is in Schuyler County. So I'd like to know what that plan is, because I find it ironic that it was never mentioned here this evening at all. There was no mention of fire service here at all. But that comment was made at the public hearing.
Who made
Not
the
public
comment?
hearing, but at the invitation-only meeting that was held at the racetrack.
Who made the comment?
I personally wasn't there. I wasn't invited. I got this from several residents that were there. Who made the comment? I don't know. I wasn't at the meeting.
I don't know anything about it.
These people are all sitting behind Mr. Fern. So, irregardless, I'd like to know that. I'd like to discuss that comment that was made with you, Michael. You're not.
Yep.
All right. And so that question concerns me. I also find it quite ironic that the gentleman who's discussing the medical says that you're talking with the state, inquiring about how you're going to help man our fire district. Well, the state has no resources to offer you. They have some guidance, they have some information, but they certainly have no resources to offer you. So I find it ironic that you're discussing these things with everybody except your local fire services that are going to be there.
Well,
they went there.
We certainly will be.
Most of these local residents were assured that their safety was utmost important, and I appreciate that comment, and that in the event of an emergency, that you would be responding off the track to handle their concerns.
So, first of all, I wasn't there.
You weren't.
No. And second of all, you know, your comments are a report of what somebody said. I have no idea who that is. But I want to introduce you to our representative from Tomato, who can answer your question about the state services.
My name is Jerry Howard. I was the Commissioner of Homeland Security for the state. Under my jurisdiction was counterterrorism, fire, cybersecurity. I was director of the Office of Counterterrorism, as I just said. We met today with the Governor's Director of Emergency Management. We also met with Dan O'Hara, who's in dishes. They're going to work with the local fire department and work with the surrounding fire departments to have mutual aid available to ensure that there's community-facing fire as opposed to the fire that's on the track. So that's something that, as you know, the state runs Montour Falls, the fire training academy. They also can bring in mutual aid and ensure that they're taken care of. Those are all things that are part of the state plan. They also are looking and working with the health department to ensure there's good EMS coverage facing out, not in the track, but EMS coverage for the community. So those are all things that, as you heard, this is middle of the road. Still have some time to get things done, but the local fire department will be involved actively in any planning.
And as you know, with what you just said, you're right, they do have the capability of offering EMS, but that also has to be requested, not pushed down our throat.
What, mutual aid?
That's right.
Yeah, it's got to be requested, but that will be done.
By who?
By the state. They will talk to the local fire chief and work out the mutual aid.
And you're saying they're going to be dispatched. My curiosity is, how would they be dispatched since there is no Schuyler County Fire Department involved in this? How will
They will be involved.
Well, you don't know they will be involved. You don't know. That's an assumption on your part.
Sorry, I'm really interested.
Well, let me just ask you a question. So you're saying they're going to be dispatched. How are they going to be dispatched if they don't have a Schuyler County radio, don't have a Schuyler County location?
They will have all.
Okay, so we are still working, evaluating our needs for on-site needs with the Department of Health. What resources do we actually need on site? Once that's done, we're going to work with ICS and FEMA and all those plans, and we're going to go to the appropriate agencies to let them know those plans. We plan on working, it's normal talk for any incident command system, right? Mutual aid, anything like that. It will be broken out. We're still evaluating our needs on site with the Department of Health. Once that's solidified, we'll reach out to local municipalities to make sure that we have adequate coverage in case there is an NCI. So we're not there yet. We're still evaluating on site
So
needs
when
with
a
the
local
Department
fire
of Health.
department asks for mutual aid, the mutual aid companies are covered by that local fire department's insurance.
Right.
So we're gonna be forced to insure all the resources that you bring in?
I'm sorry.
The mutual aid plan?
Anytime you do mutual aid in the state, you're covered under the mutual aid agreement. So the state will cover it. That's part of what we're working out. Today, as I said, we met with the Governor's Office of Emergency Management. The director is going to work with the local fire department. OFPC will be actively involved in work. Okay? Does that answer your question?
So we're gonna respond from the village to the facility if there's an event, that's what you're saying?
To the track?
Yes.
No, there will be people staged at the track. This is covering the community for fire and EMS. The goal is to ensure there's no drop in any services for the
The track's
community.
in our jurisdiction, so the authority having jurisdiction makes the decision on what needs you have to fulfill.
Well, that's part of what the planning is doing, is trying to see how much is needed on site versus covered in the community.
At what point are they gonna contact us to sit down and spend time on this? We don't have time.
We had a meeting today to address that. I can assure you that it's going to be done very quickly.
I wouldn't wait. You know, once the tickets go on sale, I wouldn't wait. But we're not selling any big block tickets. We're not selling to resellers. We're not doing anything. We want fans. They will be. We'll announce the time before. Yeah, the question was about tickets on sale for tickets, and whether we're going to be selling any big blocks of tickets to any of these resellers, which they are not. And the other question was, will a time be announced when tickets will go on sale, and it will be announced. Yeah. You know, it's kind of difficult, but, you know, we'll work on that.
Bring some to the next meeting.
We'll try and do an earlier on sale for the community. Hold on a second. What was your question? Yeah, there's going to be a short presentation.
Question?
I got one over here.
Will the sale and consumption of alcohol be permitted in the same area where minors are allowed?
There's no restricted areas in terms of where you can drink on site. We're counting on you guys not to share the tickets.
As far as tickets go, if they don't sell out in advance for the allotment that you guys are allowed to, like, whatever, say the cap is 100,000. If you sell 90,000 tickets, will you have 10,000 on site at the gate, or you're not going to be doing a box office on site?
If we do a box office, if we're not sold out, it will not be on site because we don't want to create, you know, this roadblock. It'll be in another community somewhere, you know, far enough away so that there's no confusion or congestion.
And right now, day tickets, is that waiting to see?
Yeah. Anybody else? No single ticket. They're all 3 day whether you camp on site or not. Yes.
Hi, Samantha, you were over visiting us at our house last week.
Yep.
You told me to look up Sotheby's, and I did.
Yep.
And you already said that was $350,000 above about the tickets that were sold, because you were trying to reassure me, and I looked it up, and it wasn't a lot of reassurance. It was a more peaceful concert than '99, which online said it sold 400, I mean, not sold, but 400,000 people showed up above the ticket sales. What I wanted to know, I don't think I've clearly heard from you. How are you stopping the people that don't have a ticket? You're just saying they're not going to come. But as history has shown, and I keep looking, yes, it's not 69, it's not 73. Fast forward to 94 and 99, where 200 or more thousand showed up and they said we're going to show up. And the lady that was here, she's right. We've lived on Meadsville Road for almost 40 years. And WGI does an excellent job. We do not have a problem in NASCAR. And we know what to expect. We don't know what to expect here. Our past experience with fish is like the lady here. We totally lost our road. My husband has to go to work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have no guarantee that he's going to be going out, so that impacts our family finances. If he can't get to work, you know, I went to school so much in the summer. What are you going to do? Because I think that people are looking to relive the Woodstock experience. A lot of people love it. It's obvious. What are you going to do with the 200,000 or more that come don't have the tickets? How are you going to stop them? What plan is there for that situation? Because you just keep saying it's not going to happen, but it has happened over, you know, whether it was in the 60s or 70s or in the late 90s, it's happened consistently with the concerts. How are you going to handle those?
So in Saugerties, we had a permit for 250,000 and 350,000 showed up. It wasn't 800,000, it was 350,000.
I didn't say 800, that's what
No, I'm saying we were 100,000 over.
Right,
By 1999, when festivals were ubiquitous around the country, we had nobody who showed up without a ticket. We had 220,000 people on site, and we sold 220,000 tickets. That's just how the modern world is. There are festivals everywhere. These acts, while we've assembled, I think, a great combination of acts, you can see them anywhere.
Right. But what are you going to do with the people that come that don't have tickets? That was my question.
We won't let them in.
It hasn't been answered. What are you going to do with those people?
We won't let them in. We don't anticipate there will be many people who show up
I
without
know you
tickets.
don't anticipate it, but you did before and it happened.
It hasn't happened anywhere in the country for the last 20 years.
They didn't have Woodstock 50.
Huh?
They didn't have Woodstock 50.
No, but they had big festivals with the same kind of talent lineups. You know, it just doesn't happen because you can get to it anywhere. You're not going to come to a place like Watkins Glen, which is not close to any major cities, without a ticket to know you're going to get in. Plus, it will be live streamed on television. So if you really want to be a part of it, and you don't have a ticket, we're going to watch it.
So how are you going to turn them away? You said you turned them away. How will that happen? And what about the cars that'll get, how are you going to turn them away?
They won't be allowed in to the site without a ticket. They won't be allowed to the site without a sticker in their car.
How are we going to keep them off our property?
How what?
How are they going to keep them off the people's property? They don't know.
I mean,
Oh my God, they'll turn around and drive home.
thank you. We look forward to hearing your questions. You know, we're around. We love to visit. We've been around the neighborhood, on the track, visiting with you people. And like yourself, if we have more questions and you're really concerned, I'll come over and I'll go through the internet with you and I'll show you how this thing works. Thanks and good night.
And welcome.
So